Alright, so here I have the deck off my case, 444 tractor, garden tractor I guess it is. Several problems. These attachment points are pulling out of the deck. They were crudely welded, but they're cracking around the welds. But I've started to grind this one out. What else? There's a bunch of slop in this idler pulley. The pulley itself isn't bad, but the way it's attached to the deck, I'm going to have to put a bushing or something in there. There's supposed to be a loop on here that, see, that supports. You can't really see that moving in the camera, but it's supposed to be supported here, and in the center. That's broken. And this is starting to break as well. I'm missing a nut and bolt down there. So I'm going to put that together and weld this crack back up, bend that back into shape. But the most prominent thing here is these. They started to crack. This one started to pull back. This one started to pull forward. And it's made the entire deck tweak sideways. There's that frame right here that goes on top of this deck. So while I'm at it, I guess I'm going to rebuild these spindles for the mower. One of them was a little loose, so bearing's probably bad, but they're just common size bearings, so that's going to be easy. Fix this, I think I'm going to use a piece of steel here. What is that, about, I don't know, 1/16 inch thick steel, something. Maybe he thinks. I'm going to just cut plates out of this. I'm not going to use it as a side channel. I'm just going to cut, square plates out of this. One's going to be welded here. I'm going to make a little longer one here because I'm going to redo this. I'm going to go through this as well. So weld that plate on here and then reattach these attachment points. I guess to do that, the easiest way is to get them on the frame for the tractor or for the deck, and then go ahead and attach the frame back here like it's supposed to. Make sure it's all lined up, and chalk them in place, and then weld them. That way I'm sure it's going to go together, because if I just eyeball it and weld them, or even measure and weld them, that frame may not fit between. So we'll do it that way. But now I got to take these pulleys off, get the blades off. So I'll just pull everything off the deck, might as well. And we'll go from there. Alright, so the deck came apart pretty easy. I got all 3 spindles out. These bearings seem pretty good. On the top, all 3. Like I said, the one was bad. It's gone. You can actually see in the bearing race there. This was a sealed bearing. Should have been. Yeah. I took that center one out. But yeah, it's bad. That's going to definitely need replaced. Here is the culprit. Grass got wound up in there and pressed so tight up against the bearing that it just heated it up. Well, first it pressed the seal out. Going, heated it up, all the grease melted out, and it just ruined the bearing. So I don't know how to keep that from happening. There's a small spacer in here. That's which goes up against the bearing. Yeah, I don't know. I could try putting a little, like the center. Let's see, the center still has the bearing in it. It has a little cup, but that didn't seem to really help. There's still grass up in there. I guess it keeps it from pressing up against the bearing tight. Although I actually didn't check this bearing. See, look at that. It does have a ton of grass under it also. So that cup doesn't work. It just holds dirt and moisture. Look at that. That is disgusting. So that's no good. This bearing still doesn't have any play in it. But I'm going to replace them all anyway because they're cheap. So Sorry about my camera work. I'm holding the camera with one hand. There's got to be a better way. Z9504 RST. I think Tractor Supply carries that bearing, so well, we'll move on to the next thing. Alright, so I came back from Tractor Supply, and unfortunately they did not have these bearings. They had the spot for them, but they didn't have any bearings, and all the bearings that they had about 2 of them. So I need 6. That's not going to work. As I pointed out before, this bearing, it's a Z9504 RST. The 9504, that's a pretty common bearing. The RST, that's supposed to be a pretty hefty bearing for, look at that, it comes right out of there, check that out. That is supposed to be a pretty hefty bearing for mower agricultural use, supposedly. It didn't hold up. I mean, even this one has a tight spot in it, and it wasn't even down in any bad environment. Like I said, they lasted 2 years. Those bearings lasted 2 years, so we're not going to go with that brand again. The bearings that were in the deck probably were 10, 15 years old. They lasted. One thing I didn't point out, these wheels getting a little sloppy. Not only is the wheel worn out, the actual pin is worn out, the bolt. So I went ahead and bought new 5-inch deck wheels. That'll look awesome on there. You know, some big, nice wheels. And I got some miscellaneous hardware by the pound. Just dumped it in the bag. It's cool. So I will get to cutting this plate out. Like I said, all that right here. We're going to cut just a square out of here. Nice square. I'm not going to use the C-channel, like I said. Probably a 3.5 by 3.5 inch square, 2 of them. I'm just going to weld that right over top of that. I'm going to weld all around all 4 sides. I'm going to flip the deck over, and I'm going to weld up, as you can see, where the other bracket came off. There's a hole, so I'm going to weld from behind on that. Plastic grinder broke. Isn't that great? I think it's just a bad wire, because if you wiggle the wire down here, it works. So I took it apart. It's a cheap grinder from Lowe's, but I mean, whatever. Might as well worth trying to fix it, huh? It's hot. Alright, now we have our plates. I made this one a little longer because not only is it going to support the deck here, it's also going to, I'm going to run that pulley through it, so it gives me a little more metal to work with, so it don't get that wobble on that idler pulley. This one's just about 3.5 by 3.5 inch square. We're just going to weld right around it. And then the next thing is mocking up those the points where they fall. But like I said, I'm going to hook them up, pin them up to the frame, and just let them fall wherever they fall, tack them in place. And that way I know it's going to go back together. Alright, so I finished welding the metal plate in on top of those holes. So these plates are welded around the edge, but it would be cool to have them fastened in the center also to the deck. And then that's pretty much going to line up where the actual mount points go on top of that. And these, I've decided I guess I'm just going to reuse a portion of these things. We're going to see how it turns out. The bottom's been welded so many times, and it's just pretty much ruined. It's so thin and nasty down there. So what I think I'm going to do is I'll end up setting these up. I may just cut this bottom completely off. Just leave this part here. Cut it off. You know, get it on the machine, the frame, get it on there, tacked on there, and then what I'll do is I'll just make my own gussets that come down, you know, little triangle gussets that come down on each side of this thing. That'll hold it way better than just having this one piece of metal bent and welded. But we'll get to it. I got to get these bearings now. I believe I got a place in Delaware I'm going to get them from. And I'm just going to replace all 6 of them. I have the deck. And then we'll move on to this hoop here, which is just a pretty thin piece of metal. All it does is hold that. You can see that gets floppy there. So it just holds that together. So we'll get that, and then we'll move on to the front. I don't know if you can see. There we go, some light. Yeah, rusted out some places in the front. The previous owner had put that whatever it is, metal plate. It's actually a block-off plate for electrical work. I'm going to take that off, and we'll weld a nice piece along here. Maybe we'll do the whole front of it, just reinforce the whole front. Alright, so here we have a homemade coal forge that my father made. out of a wheel, put a blower in the side, some duct work here, ash pit comes down to the bottom. Alright, so here's what came out of the forge debacle. We got a little part, looks like it works perfect. It's going to fit on there and bolt down, and then I'll paint the whole deck on top of that. Awesome. Alright, so here's what I came up with for this brace back here. Sorry about the light, it's not very good. My father had his coal forge fired up, so I went over here and made this part out of that. Could have done it with oxyacetylene torch, yes, but coal forge is a heck of a lot funner. And I made a little scalpel while I was at it. Alright, so that's what we ended up with. Piece of metal that I bent in the forge. Nothing special, could have done it with a torch. Fits right in there nicely behind. That's about a 1/4 inch short, but maybe 3/8. But fits in there behind. The other piece real good. The smell of years old burnt grass in the morning. Gotta love it. Alright, so I got the curved piece welded in there using a little flux core welder, so the welds aren't the best in the world. Alright, so yeah, don't mind my welding skills, sorry. Not the best in the world, still learning, but it'll hold, it'll be alright. So now I guess I'll put the bearings in and we'll go from there. Gotta get the belt on before I can figure out where I want to put the extra supports on the top. So let's see what we're dealing with under these plates, shall we? Alright, that's not good at all. Look at that. It's a gigantic hole in the front of the deck, both places. So that's what those plates were covering. Beautiful. It was like that when I bought it. Alright, we're going to patch it from the inside, and I'll show you why. Because you can see the grass is eating away this deck. It looks like grass must hit right here. Boom. I mean, that's same way on this side. So the blade's spinning this way. It's flinging the grass against that. This metal is just getting all eaten away on the inside. So it is very, very thin. All the way around, even up into the top here, it's thin. So I guess the right thing to do is patch it from the inside, even though it looks scrappy on the outside. But that way, it gives it a new surface. You know, it's not even touching this. This isn't going to continue to rot away. I mean, it will slowly, but I mean, really, if I wanted to do it right, I'd cut that all out, make a piece that fit in there, and weld it in. But you know what? We're not. I got to get the grass mowed. It's getting tall. I got to get this done. So let's get to more welding. All right. So this side fixed from the inside. That's why we're going to do it. Tack welded the sheet metal and then the flat bar in place. I guess I'll go ahead and go around. Might as well weld around all of it. I know I'm going to weld this whole seam up. Weld across there. And probably just, well, whatever. I'll weld the whole thing up. Why not? Right, so we have our patches in place. Both sides. Got the bearings in. Check out how much of that has worn away, that aluminum right there. That is crazy. Will it focus? There we go. Alright, so we got our supports welded on there. I did not do the gussets. I'm not so sure I even want to. I mean, it's all about surface area. Before, these came down bent in 90, and then they were welded directly to the mower deck, which is way thinner than this 1/8 inch plate. So I put a nice piece of bird crap weld around there. I don't think that's going anywhere. It's all, you know, like I said, it's all about surface area. So this goes onto this nice 1/8 inch plate, and then it has a little gigantic surface area where it's welded onto the deck. Much bigger than just having a small 90-degree angle here. Same with this one. So I think it's fine. The pins are lined up perfect. I got the belt back on. Everything works great. So, well on our way. I gotta get that back on there, and then this whole contraption over here goes back on the front. Don't mind the tools all over the place. But there's some bushings in here that were just completely worn out, so I want to try to replace those. And that's really about it. Should be ready to put back on a tractor and test. Alright, we got the deck on. It's all hooked up. That's about midway up. I have to measure the grass when I cut it. Make sure it's nice and even. On the garage floor, it's nice and even. Haven't started it up yet, but everything should be hooked up. So I'm gonna get up on this thing. Yeah. Well, gotta rub somewhere. Where? But all in all, that's good. I'll tell you where it's rubbing. This pulley is wearing out the bearing. It's scraping right there. Oh well. Originally, that was not not that size pulley. It was a smaller pulley, thinner. This is double height. So really, I need just to get the right pulley that would fix that whole situation there. But everything seems to be working good. Awesome. Next thing to do is cut some grass, and we'll measure it. All right. So in other news, took the deck out for a test. Deck works great. Grass is very even. It's on there. I mean, it's on there very nice and tight, snug. Right now, it's in the up position, obviously. Down on the wheels, beautiful. Went did two strips, and got a horrible vibration, big clank bang, and come to find out the whole lock pulley assembly fell off the front. Apparently, the bolt backed itself loose, and everything flew off. Luckily, I have all the pieces here, even the fans, but the fan got broken. So, the deck's back on. Here's my first couple swipes of mowing. Looks pretty good. Nice and even. That grass is patchy, but I don't know, what, 6 to 8. This grass is nice. You can see. Nice and flat. Let's take a look at the tractor. One more thing I want to do over here. As you can see, those deck wheels stick out past the edge of the deck, so that's no good. Originally, the wheels were on the outside. They were smaller, thinner wheels, like inch wheels, but they were still on the outside. So what I'm going to do, there's enough room in here, I'm going to flip this. I'm taking this wheel is going to be inside. That may have been, I don't think that's where they were from the factory, really, but these wheels are way wider. I can't get close to things without catching the wheel. This is a rear discharge deck, so I can get up close on both sides. So yeah, there's definitely enough room in there to flip that wheel around. We're going to go ahead and do that. If I have to cut this a little bit, I can. There's nothing underneath there. And then that'll make that edge perfectly flat, and I'll be able to get right next to stuff, which will be awesome. So there's the whole unit. Ingersoll case 444. Repowered. This one, currently, it's had several different engines in it. This one now has a Briggs in it. 18 horsepower, slightly cammed, this engine is, so it's probably more around 20 horsepower, 22 horsepower right now. I think Briggs are a little underrated to begin with. I threw this engine in here, I don't know, a year or two ago. Still got to do a little bit on the wiring there, just dangling the old fuel relay there, but everything else on the deck seems to be holding up good. Well, they're holding up good, and that thing is just, I mean, it is just rock solid on there. Beautiful, beautiful. No loose points at all anywhere. So, I don't know. I do have the shroud that goes over this whole deck area. It's not going to fit on perfectly now. I may actually chop it up and just use the end pieces to cover these pulleys up, because it is a little dangerous having that pulley there. I mean, you fall off or get your finger caught in there, it is gone. So, I guess that's about it. Got the front pulley back on, mowed some strips there, mowed the front yard. So, awesome. Awesome. Looks level. I have it set right in the middle, medium setting, so that's perfect. It's probably cutting about 4.5 inches or so. That's perfect for right in the middle. So awesome. Sweet. So I guess that's done. On to the next. That will work so much better. Look at that. Now I'll be able to get right up to the edge. I'll do the same on the other side. Check this out. As I was taking these wheels off, these things are totally greasable. See that little tube right there? It's a grease fitting. It goes into a channel. I don't know if you can see it down there. Yeah, it goes into a channel there in the plastic. So that is awesome. Greasable little plastic wheels there. You know, it's not a real fitting, but it works. I did this side. I mean, heck, can't ask for much more than that. I mean, that is smooth and tight and nice. Beautiful. So there's